Welcome to Kansas City and a very cold CPKC Stadium, where our women's soccer program is ready to make history tonight when they kick off in their first ever College Cup. It's the Final Four of women's college soccer. Hey, Frog fans, I'm Chris Gutierrez on assignment for the team at Frogs today. We are just an hour away from our Horned Frogs taking on Florida State. Now, these two teams, they have a history with one another, and TCU head coach Eric Bell is very familiar with the FSU program. More on that in just a minute. But first, only our Frogs Today team was there as the team left their hotel just a few hours ago. Family and friends, well, they gathered there in the lobby of the hotel to send the Frogs off in style.
I'm so excited. I didn't end up getting to watch any of the regular season games, and so being able to come out and this is the most fun part of the season, and so getting to see her and the team flourish has been so fun. And I think just seeing them and how fun they look like they're having fun and they look like they're enjoying it, and that's the point of soccer. Soccer brings so many people together, and so being able to see them do that is so fun, and to be able to represent Texas she's from, obviously, Camden's from Dallas, so being able to see her represent hometown is awesome.
The TCU women's soccer program is in its 40th season, and this year's team is in the midst of the most successful season in program history. Our Frogs are 18-2-3. They won their fourth Big 12 regular season title, but then they suffered a gut-wrenching loss to BYU in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. But the ladies have really channeled that disappointment into a winning streak that now has this team one game away from the national championship game. They're on the field warming up as we speak, and the only thing that stands between TCU reaching that championship game is Florida State University, a team that beat our Frogs last year in a preseason game in Tallahassee, and they beat our Frogs 2 years ago at home in Fort Worth. But that's the past. These are both all new teams. You know, Frogs Today has been following Coach Bell's program for years now. And in 2022, Coach Bell joined me in studio to explain why he scheduled top caliber teams like Florida State in such a grueling non-conference schedule. Listen here. But a non-conference schedule really sets the tone for your program.
Well, geez, I'm really just concentrating on Santa Clara. You're taking me through the whole darn schedule.
That's right.
We look at it and say our iron sharpens iron, right? We want to be measured against the best and find out where we are going into conference play, and hopefully we get some good results with that, and hopefully that sets us up for a long run into the NCAA tournament. So that's what it's all about.
And clearly Coach Bell's plan has paid off. Iron does sharpen iron. Look, if you want to be the best, you have to play the best. And after wins over defending national champion North Carolina and Vanderbilt, these so-called cardiac Frogs, because of their last-minute or even last-second goals, well, they're clicking on all cylinders right now at the perfect time. Take sophomore goalkeeper Olivia Geller, for example. She had a career-high 9 saves in the Elite 8 win over Vandy, and people are taking notice.
Right, Geller stood on her head last weekend, both games, really, the Carolina game, and then obviously first 10 minutes of the game, made 2 lights-out saves to keep the game even going into halftime. So,
my back line helped me out a lot. Mother Nature wasn't on our side. The elements were there. It was raining. It was cold. Wasn't home field advantage. We did have a lot of our fans there, but it wasn't the same as being here. But I think I have so many thanks to give to my team. I think I did my job, but I definitely couldn't have done it without any of them.
Olivia's been pretty hot lately and has done a really good job. And the first half against Vandy, she was unbelievable. We've given up, 2 goals in 4 games in the NCAA tournament. So really pleased with our defensive performance.
Now, clearly, Geller will need to play a pivotal role for the Frogs to win and advance tonight. When we come back, we'll hear from more of the Horned Frog soccer players, plus what Florida State's head coach thinks about this TCU squad. You're watching the Frogs Today pregame show on location at the Women's Soccer Final Four here in Kansas City, brought to you by our premier title sponsor, Texit Coin.
Keeping score of your finances but missed the Bitcoin wagon? There's a second chance called Texit Coin. Score big at texitcoin.org.
And welcome back to Kansas City. TCU is getting closer to kickoff against Florida State. Now, the Seminoles come into this Final Four matchup with a record of 14-2-4. And their head coach says anything less than a national championship for his team is a failure.
As we all know, right? Mark Krikorian built a monster, and obviously started with Eric Bell here at Florida State and got to College Cups, and that's the standard that he's created. And so we knew what we were walking into. And, to be honest, right or wrong, if you don't get to a College Cup at Florida State, it's a little bit unfair to the players, but the season is seen as a failure. And so we're happy to be back, happy to be in a place where, we've got ourselves a chance, right? But some of that feeling, to be honest, is just relief, right? Relief that we've kind of met the expectation. Now, here we go.
Florida State finished the regular season ranked number 6 in the nation, which, by the way, is right behind our 5th-ranked TCU Horned Frogs. And because they've played each other a few times over the past few years, there's certainly a familiarity there.
Super athletic group, right? And Brian Pinsky does a really good job of identifying some really good student athletes, but more athletic, fast, strong, big, strong kids. And they'll make it hard for us to do certain things, but talented as well as soccer players. And they're going to present a lot of different problems, whether it be with their pace and athleticism, set pieces, being able to defend those. And we're going to have our hands full for sure.
2 years ago, we played at TCU. And while I'm good friends with Eric and have known him for 20 plus years, we never coached against each other as head coaches, right? He was on Mark Krikorian's, staff as an assistant in, 07, 08, something like that. And I was at Maryland and we coached against each other. But I'd never played against TCU. And, they were a handful at their place 2 years ago. And it was unlucky for them to not get a result against us. We were lucky to get out of that first half alive, 0-0. And then, we were able to flip the game a little bit and we wound up winning the game 2-0. But they're a very good team. And then last year they came to our place in preseason. And then obviously we got to watch them in the postseason, even though we didn't get to play. So there's been an increased familiarity over the last 2 seasons.
And don't forget, Coach Bell spent 6 seasons at Florida State before he took over as TCU's head coach. And he helped lead the Seminoles to 3 College Cups, including a national championship game back in 2007, but he's never won the entire thing. But this year's team at TCU wants to change that.
I think the whole season we've just had amazing team culture, and I think that's something that shows on the field as well. Us having chemistry leads to just playing more together, and I think we've done that really well.
Kind of having the confidence of our season and knowing that, yes, their past have done that, but this is now, and being in the present and knowing that our team can compete with anyone in the nation, and that starts on Friday. And just kind of having the confidence, that we've earned our way here, and not just thinking that, we got here out of luck, but because we worked hard and put our heads down. And so just continuing to do that on Friday.
I think we have a lot of strengths on this team. I think we have a lot of great players, and I think we just need to trust in that and trust in what we do, which is valuing the ball, finding our players, connecting all together. And I think as long as we keep showing those strengths, no one's able to stop us.
Hey, I agree. No one can stop this team when they're dominating control of the ball and they're playing their brand of soccer. But selfishly, I got to tell you, I wish these cardiac frogs would just put these teams away earlier. And I realize that's easier said than done. But for real, these last minute or even last second come from behind goals, they're stressful for all of us fans. And I played a lot of come from behind games when I was at TCU on the men's program back in the 90s. I promise you, I know what it's like, but I'm old now and the stress ain't good for me. All right? So as we head to our last break, let's revisit the sights and the sounds from last week's Elite 8 win over Vandy. We're back right after this. And this is what it's all about. Our Horned Frogs are now 2 wins away from bringing this national championship hardware back to Fort Worth. All right, I've made my way down to the field, and as we wrap up this pregame show brought to you by our friends at Texit Coin, I want to let you know it's 39 degrees out here. The wind should not be a factor. It's been windy in recent days, but not tonight. And while there's snow on the side of the road throughout the city, the grounds crew here at the stadium has done a phenomenal job. I mean, the field here behind me looks great. It's a natural grass field. The ball should play really well, which could, I think, work in favor of our Horned Frogs. All right, please make sure you're following Frogs Today on X, Instagram, and in YouTube for unparalleled coverage of all of TCU's athletic teams. Plus, at halftime, we're going to take you inside Schollmeyer Arena on TCU's campus, where the school is hosting a watch party ahead of tonight's men's basketball game against Notre Dame. I'm Chris Gutierrez of Frogs Today, and as always, go Frogs!